Good morning. This is Pastor Mike Garud here from my office at the church. For you that don't know me, my name is Mike Garud. I pastor here in Mount Airy, Georgia, right off 441 North. And I am delighted to be live and to come to you today. You can also see me on my YouTube channel, James Garute with two R's, Garroutte. And I will be putting these sessions also on that channel. Today I really want to deal with the book of Revelation and the end times and what is going on in the world today. Mainly today I want to talk about the mark of the beast. For those that may have questions, I certainly do not have all of the answers, but I got a pretty good idea what's happening concerning this from the information that's available today. It was a time where the mark of the beast was such as nobody really knew what to think of it, because until this particular century, the last 60, 70 years, it was really a mystery, because there was really no way for everybody on the earth to be able to be marked or kept track of what they would buy or sell until the technological age that we're in now. So what I'd like to do this morning is let you know where I'm going with this. There'll be about 30-minute programs, nothing too long. Also, I want you to know that what really does the mark of the beast have to do with maybe transhumanism, a subject that is not really talked about in the church from the pulpit, although I've been doing it this year, just simply because it's not understood. We really don't see the importance and what is transhumanism. And so we'll be talking about some subjects such as beast tech. We'll get into that. And we also look at beyond from Eden to human 2.0. In other words, man's ability to improve on what God has done. And so we're going to look into those things this week and see what relevance it has to do. So let's begin this morning simply by reading chapter 13 of Revelations. So then I saw a beast rising out of the sea with 10 horns and 7 heads, with 10 diadems on its horns and blasphemies names on its heads. And the beast that I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like a bear's, and his mouth was like a lion's mouth. And to it the dragon gave his power and his throne and great authority. One of its heads seemed to have a mortal wound, but the mortal wound was healed, and the whole earth marveled as they followed the beast and as they worshiped the dragon, for he had given the authority to the beast. And they worshiped the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast, and who can fight against it?" Just to stop there for a minute, when it first mentions here that there were 10 diadems and 10 horns representing 10 nations, you can go to Daniel chapter 2 and read verses 40 through 44, and it talks about when the kingdom of God comes and sets up the millennial reign, that there will be 10 kings during the time of the tribulation that will give their power over to the beast. We find that in Revelation chapter 17. Now there's 10 kingdoms, 10 kings, and there's a lot of debate about that, so we're not going to get into that this morning. We will at another time, just to discuss it and see what you may think it may be according to the evidence that is now that we do have, thanks to the internet and thanks to different scriptures and things. You can also find it in Daniel chapter 7. So we find that in verse 5 it says, "And the beast was given a mouth uttering haughty and blasphemous words, and it was allowed to exercise authority for 42 months. That's very important. That's from the middle of the tribulation period, which is a 7-year period, with 30-day months, 360-day years, the lunar month and year. And we find that the last 42 months is a time to where he actually shows the world who he is, what his purpose is. He sets up at the temple in Jerusalem on a wing of it, as Daniel described that in Daniel chapter 11, and Revelations here and in different places in the book of Revelations. And so we find there's a 42-month period to where things are marked, people are marked, buying and selling is done by organizational government control called the New World Order. And so without getting further into that at this moment, we'll continue to read and find out some more insight on that. And it says, verse 6, it opened its mouth to utter blasphemous against God, blaspheming his name and his dwelling, that is those who dwell in heaven. Also it was allowed to make war on the saints and to conquer them. And authority was given it over every tribe, people, and language, and nation. And all who dwell in the earth will worship it, everyone whose name has not been written before the foundation of the world in the book of life of the Lamb who was slain. And if anyone has an ear, let him hear. So we need to listen very carefully, don't we? If anyone is to be taken captive, to captivity he goes. If anyone is to be slain with the sword he must be slain. In other words, it's saying when it comes time to where the New World Order and the things going on are going to take people into captivity, it's going to happen. If it's time for people to be killed with the sword, John, who wrote this in 95 AD, we have guns today, be shot, whatever the scenario would play out to be, we know that it's going to happen. All right, when it's time, it's going to take place. And that's what he's saying here. Here is a call for the endurance and faith of the saints. Then I saw another beast rising out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb, and it spoke like a dragon. It experienced all the authority of the first beast in its presence, and makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the first beast, whose mortal wound was healed. It performs great signs, even making fire come down from heaven to earth in front of the people. And by the signs that it is allowed to work in the presence of the beast, it deceives those who dwell on the earth, telling them to make an image for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived. Now that's been mentioned 3 times now just in this one chapter. So something happens to the beast, the Antichrist, appears that he's dead, and now he is healed and he's alive. It says, for the beast that was wounded by the sword and yet lived, and it was allowed to give breath. That is the Greek word pneuma, which means breath or spirit. So spirit and breath, life comes into the image of the beast. That's pretty phenomenal. We'll discuss how the possibilities, what it may be. All right? And it says to give breath to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast might even speak and might cause those who would not worship the image of the beast to be slain. Also it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless the beast, or unless he has the mark, that is the name of the beast, so it could be his name, or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and his number is 666. Well, I'm going to go for now, and I'll return in just a few moments, and we'll discuss what some possibilities may be on this particular subject.